Today we're going to be talking about the mental triggers that we will be facing when we compete in competitions, okay? So you may be having times where you're just overthinking, you're focusing on the things that are not so good, like a loss, you just have doubt, fear in yourself. These are just negative thoughts, negative reactions to any triggers that may be happening when we go up to a competition or whenever we're trying to perform. Now, how do we know that these are showing up? Well, it may happen when we mess up and make a mistake during rehearsals, and then we start to doubt ourselves then. We start seeing people that are more skilled than us. We start comparing ourselves, and we feel rushed or judged by the situation that's happening around us. And we kind of lose control, and then that's when the negative feelings start to seep into us, okay? So now the idea here is that we want to be able to become aware of this first, to figure out what is going on, why this is happening to us, and then how we can actually resolve this issue. Because if we don't understand our triggers, they will control us, okay? We want to be able to create a space where we can respond rather than react to any of the triggers that end up coming up to us. Because if you leave it up to chance and you don't understand the triggers that you have, they will control you. And you don't want that. You want to be able to create a space where you can respond rather than react. Everyone, all professional top level competitors or performers, we all face these moments when we get triggered. We're just more prepared. The first thing we want to do is we want to spot our triggers. This is an awareness exercise, okay? Once we are aware of it, then we can fix it. So we're going to ask ourselves a few questions. The first one is, what happened? What happened for me to get triggered? Write this down. The second question is, what did I feel emotionally or physically? Write that down. Think about how you were feeling in your head and in your heart and in your body. The third question is, what did you end up telling yourself? What is the self-talk that's going on when you start feeling triggered? And the last question, number 4, is, what did you end up doing next? What did you actually do when you felt triggered? Did you shy away and you didn't want to do it? Did you run to the bathroom? Did you go home? There's some examples, because imagine if you walk into a space, especially as a dancer, and you're in the back room about to go on stage, but then you see people that are way better than you. Well, that's what you think. You might be feeling, and if you have no control over yourself, you're going to be feeling all types of things, and you might just freeze. But there's a lot of things that we can do if we ever get caught in this moment. So now that we're aware of how we get triggered, what it is, why it's happening to us, and what happens to us when we feel triggered, let's try to interrupt this pattern whenever it happens, okay? Because if it's something that occurs all the time, it's a habit, and it's a pattern that we need to break through. So I'm going to give you guys some tools to be able to reset. The first one is breath work. Now, you can do box breathing, and if you don't know what box breathing is, which is a very generalized, broad way, mostly actually introduced in the army, and this is what soldiers would do to be able to relax under pressure, and is put into the general public now as a tool. So what this is essentially, you breathe in for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're counting this in your head, and then you hold your breath for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, you breathe out for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you hold your breath for 4 seconds. That's one cycle. You want to repeat that 3 to 5 times, or as much as you like. You can do that, and it's actually a pretty good way to go about doing breath work, because you're also counting, which is distracting you from the negative thoughts that you're already having. So now you just focus on your breath and relaxing. I also like to prolong my breath, so I don't really count so often, but as long as I exhale for longer than what I inhale for. So if I inhale for 4 seconds, I'm going to exhale for at least 8 seconds or more. The reason behind that is because when you exhale, you bring down your heart rate. This puts you into a parasympathetic state. When you breathe in, this actually speeds up your heart rate, and you want to be able to relax. So by relaxing, we want a more slower heart rate. The next tool that you guys can use are cue words. Cue words are essentially affirmations that you're going to keep in the forefront of your mind whenever you start feeling doubtful, fearful, or you just getting triggered overall. Using these words can really help you, because the moment you start to focus on the negative words, you're going to be projecting that onto the floor or in your performance. So if you're focusing on more uplifting, positive words and saying these affirmations, you're going to start projecting that, because it's going to be in your mind, and then whatever you feel in here and in here, you're going to project it out there, right, externally. So I like to personally say, I'm going to have fun, I'm creative, and I'm confident. And I would jumble those around. I'm fun, I'm confident, I'm creative. Or you could say something like, I'm clean, I'm sharp, I'm focused. Something like that, whatever it is. So just take 2 to 3 words with you, and that's really going to help you. The next tool that you guys can use is visualization. Now, when you're visualizing, this type of visualization, I want you guys to visualize yourself getting triggered and then being composed under that pressure. So trying to be composed when the triggering shows up. When you visualize, do this when you are at the competition and before the competition, so you're better prepared. The more you start to familiarize yourself with moments where you get triggered, you will know how to handle them a lot better. The last tool that I want to share with you guys is reframe. Flip the script completely. So if you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, I don't know what to do, blah blah blah, then you start being your own hype man. You could be the hype man and be like, I got this, I'm gonna kill it today. Or if that's not really your mojo or your cup of tea, then you could be a more confident, composed type of person, and you could flip the script and reframe that you are confident and composed and write the story for yourself. So whatever happens in your life, good or bad, but let's just say anything that happens bad to you and negative, you could reframe that experience for it to be positive for yourself. And if being a hype man or confident and composed is not your cup of tea, you could be whatever it is that best suits you. If you perform better by being careless, then be a careless clown. And whatever it is. So this is one of the biggest tools I think that a lot of people don't use. And the reason why this is such a powerful tool, because if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change, which is from a spiritual speaker, Wayne Dyer. And he speaks about this a lot. So if you start looking at things and scenarios different and what's happening in the occasion, because only what exists in your reality is what exists, not in anyone else's, because everyone is living their own reality. Understand that. The moment you understand that and you can reframe and shape your life and the scenario and flip the script that works for you best, game changer, okay? So that's enough with the tools. Now what we want to do is we want to train with triggers, okay? We want to simulate the pressures, so whenever this happens again to ourselves, we want to be better prepared. So if you want to add an audience, and that's what triggers you the most, is when a lot of people start to show up. Or you want to put a timer on and you feel like time puts pressure on you and that's what you want to do. Or if you want to show up to training or during training being slightly fatigued because you know that you're going to be fatigued. So little things like this, or if you want someone to record you or just watch you performing, whatever it is that puts pressure on you, put as much pressure as you can on in the practice session so you can be better equipped. The goal here is to train your response, not to avoid the triggers that are going to happen, because the triggers will happen. It's inevitable. It happens to everyone. We want to be better prepared so we know how to respond rather than react. This is your little homework that I want you guys to do before moving on to any other video. The first thing I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and ask yourself this question. What threw me off? When you were triggered last time, what was it exactly that threw you off? Now let's talk about the reaction. Write down this question. What did I feel when I was thrown off? What was it that I was feeling? What did you end up doing? So what did you do? Did anything change? And the last question is the reset question. What would I do next time if this ever happens again? With one of these tools and exercises and knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? So once you've answered those 4 questions, understand this. Performers get triggered. We are just better prepared for it now, okay? And now you will be better prepared for it. The moment you've written down those questions, make sure you take a couple of these tools with you into your next competition and you'll be better prepared.